Introduction. All users of the New Canaan Public School Information and Communication Technology Resources are required to sign the Acceptable Use Policy, otherwise known as the AUP. You are required to sign this policy annually. It is your responsibility to adhere to these guidelines. Continued use of these resources is dependent on your compliance to the AUP. Violations are not taken lightly and may result in loss of access to ICT resources and impact continued employment with New Canaan Public Schools. Internet use and ICT access. Internet access is provided for educational purposes, including instruction and productivity. This does not include shopping, travel arrangements, or other personal use. We ask all ICT users not to install software on school devices. This is to ensure compliance with software licensing. All students and staff are encouraged to use personal devices such as tablets, laptops, smartphones, and other devices on our wireless network. Monitoring and privacy issues. All staff and students have a unique username and password. However, your use of ICT resources, including email, should not be considered private. All use may be monitored and reviewed as needed. All communications fall within the Freedom of Information law and has the potential of being requested and turned over to a third party. As a rule of thumb, don't send an email that you would have concerns being printed in the newspaper or online. Publishing guidelines. Any content developed, written, and published in media is property and copyright of New Canaan Public Schools. All distributed content must follow legal, ethical, and reasonable use guidelines. Please be exceptionally cautious with protecting the identity of our students by shielding names and location. All content must be age appropriate for your audience and vetted with any questionable content. For example, all internet links shared with students on paper or online must be cited, be age appropriate, and verified for accuracy. If you have additional questions on copyright or fair use, you may see your school librarian or technical integrator. Notifications. If at any time you see another person being bullied, harassed, threatened, intimidated, or receiving improper messages, please report to your school administrator as soon as possible. AUP Agreement. As stated earlier, for all uses of ICT resources must be for academic and/or professional productivity. We ask all users to agree to comply with these guidelines that fall in these areas. Number 1, the ethical and responsible use of ICT resources. Do not delete or remove network folders and data that is not yours. Do not remove technology devices on your own. Do not attempt to gain access to any technology resources that you currently do not have rights to. This includes refraining from installing software and/or configuring computers on your own. Number 2, all communications and use must be legitimate and educationally relevant. This includes respecting the confidentiality of students. For example, please do not list a student's full name, special education, or discipline details in an email. You should be communicating respectfully and not harassing, threatening, or bullying via email. While our internet access is filtered, there may be times you access a site that is not appropriate. We understand this and ask you to avoid accessing content that is obscene, harmful, or prohibited by law. For example, New Canaan High School students are encouraged to use YouTube, while middle school students are not. We also encourage high school teachers to use social networking with their students, but ask them to use a separate work social networking account. Number 3. All users must keep their usernames and passwords confidential by not sharing them with anyone. Make sure to protect confidentiality and safety when publishing and sharing content, adhering to the district publishing guidelines. You must also follow copyright and fair use guidelines. We strictly forbid plagiarism of any kind and ask you to model an appropriate behavior using ICT resources at all times. These guidelines are established in Reference Board of Education Policies 4620, 4625, and 6141. You may read these policies on the district website.